Hello and welcome back to Empowered the Podcast. I'm your host, Linda Brand. If you are new to the podcast, this podcast is all about mental health, healing, growing, evolving, inspirational, transformational, motivational stories, health and wellness, spirituality, and so much more. Today's guest is Mike McTaggart. He is a 71-year-old cancer survivor with an incredible story. Super excited to share his journey and his story with you. Welcome, Mike, to the show. Thank you for being here. I am so excited to share this powerful story with my audience because I myself have my own health journey with the doctors and different things, multiple times misdiagnosed. But you were told you had 3 to 4 months to live. Tell us your story
Yeah.
and a little bit about what happened.
Well, my second misdiagnosis was lasted almost a year, and I was misdiagnosed for different things, and mostly heart, and make sure I wasn't going to have a stroke. And after all of these tests, I finally asked this doctor, "Can I get a chest X-ray?" Because I had this cough, and she kept telling me it was post-nasal drip.
Mm.
Well, it turns out when the X-ray comes back, there was a 11-centimeter tumor in my left lung. So I got an oncologist, changed teams, did all this, got everything together, had all the tests, PET scans, MRI with contrast, all of that. And then, because it was during COVID, this was in June of 2020, we had a telemedicine with the oncologist after the tests were done. And so we were there. My oldest daughter and her husband came, and we got this news that I had metastatic um, lung cancer, stage 4 small cell.
Were you a smoker?
Yeah, and I had quit 19 years before.
Just asking, because I was a smoker too until I was pregnant with my son 27 years ago. So I was just curious. And so what symptoms were you having? Was it just the
Just
coughing?
the only thing I had to was coughing and vision issues
Oh,
and headaches.
oh,
So
okay.
I didn't notice that I felt any, weaker or any of that, but this cough just was relentless.
Right. And you were the
So
one that said you wanted a chest x-ray.
yeah, I
They didn't
said,
even.
I want a chest X-ray, and she said, "Well, okay, if you want one."
Mm,
And so when I got the
okay.
oncologist and had a PET scan and biopsies and all of that, we all sat down to, myself and my eldest daughter, my wife, and her husband, who happens to be at the time was a sheriff's uh, deputy. And so he was taking notes, and we are all waiting for the doctor and waiting. Finally, the doctor comes in, and he has this very serious look on his face. And he starts telling me what the diagnosis is, and the fact that I had tumors and brain tumors, this huge tumor in my left lung, and all of my lymph nodes had tumors, and my adrenal gland. And so we started, he asked me, he said, "Do you want the 20,000-foot view, or you want the details?" And I said, "No, I want the details." And that's when, I said, "How long do I have?" And he said, 2 to 4 months.
This
And
was
we
an
just
MRI. What showed all the tumors?
PET scan.
Oh, PET scan. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So what happened next? That's
So we
devastating. That was
sat
four
and
years ago. So what happened
yeah,
next?
we started treatment. And the first thing I did was get radiation on my brain. And that was a month of everyday radiation. And Then we started chemotherapy, along with immunotherapy, and I was going to chemo like every 2 weeks. It would last for 2 weeks and several hours. My wife couldn't come in to any of the doctor's offices, so she would sit in the car. God bless her. She was, anything I needed, anywhere I needed to go for a test,
That's
and there were
wonderful.
multiple different places we had to go. She took me, and
That's beautiful. What a wonderful person. What a beautiful marriage and wonderful partner you had. That was a blessing and a gift because some people are on the journey by themselves or with someone that's not compassionate and loving and all that. So, did you change your diet? Did you start juicing? What happened? I mean, what
well,
so
yeah,
uh,
yes. Uh, my normal diet wasn't bad, but we started to add juicing and different. We had some, what do you call? Well, kind of a mixture. Let's put it that way. So it was, but I got pretty weak. You know what I mean? After the radiation on the
yeah.
brain, and then starting the chemotherapy, and then going through that for a couple of months. Then I had scans again, but and each time I got scans that showed a little bit of an improvement. And then as time progressed, we got the summer of 20. I got very sick and ended up they put me into the hospital. And my doctor thought that the uh, cancer had seeped into my bones. And so basically, I was in the hospital in really bad shape. And so we all made the assumption that this was it. I was dying. And so all my family and friends all got the word. My wife and my daughter would stay with me every day, all day in the hospital. And then he came in one morning, early in the morning, and he said, "We're going to do another PET scan and we're going to see where the cancer is now, because I suspect it's gone into your bones." So I did the PET scan, and about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the oncologist, Dr. Bank, came in and he said, "I like giving good people good news. I love giving good people great news. You don't have cancer anymore. Your cancer is gone. And
Mm,
right now, what's going on, you have something called hypercalcemia, which could have been caused by any number of things from the treatment or whatnot." And we were, "Excuse me, there is no cancer now." And that was in the summer of
21, you said.
21. Yeah, it was like July. And
So,
so
yeah. So it killed
after,
all the
yeah,
chemo and radiation killed the cancer and your healthy lifestyle and the love and all the things.
and my spirituality on
Yeah,
the
I wanted
part,
to ask about your spirituality too. But
yeah, got the Lord and I have
other
become,
plans. Yeah.
yeah, we became much closer. So once
Yeah.
we got the cancer clear, okay, then I started, working on getting my body back and getting my strength back, and that sort of thing. And regular scans so that, they could make sure it was still gone. And then last May, I had a scan done and they found a little bit of cancer in my um but behind my adrenal gland and in lymph nodes. So they suggested that I go back into radiation. So we were moving from California up here to the mountains. And so the doctor increased the amount of radiation, because I was only going to be able to get it for 3.5 weeks and not the full month. And So it kicked my butt pretty good, but at the end of the day, it killed that cancer.
So
So,
did the radiation do any damage to other parts of your body? And did your, the chemotherapy and the radiation like damage other things? Is that what caused the hyper, or whatever he called it?
oh, that was back before
Mhm.
in the summer.
Oh,
Yeah, before in 21. This
okay.
was in 23,
But I mean,
spring of,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say somebody else would get information like you have 2 to 4 months and they wouldn't even try going through the chemo. They would just think this is a death sentence, like why bother? And you went for it and you fought, and that's really impressive and powerful. I love that you did that and you believed, or you decided to believe. And you're a miracle, right? Are you a miracle?
Yeah, they call me the outlier. And my new oncologist up here in the mountains, first thing he said to us when we went in, he said, "You do realize that you're a miracle."
Yeah.
And I said, "I do,
Yeah.
absolutely, I do." So I have a new oncologist, and so
Yeah.
I'm getting regular scans and
Tell us your spiritual practices.
prayer, and prayer for my friends, and prayer for my family,
Is
and
every
you know
day, twice a day?
every day, morning and night and afternoon. I'll just take a
Gratitude.
moment. I have so much gratitude. It's not even funny.
So the
It's
prayer is thank you, God, for da da da, and please protect. And I'm just curious because I'm spiritual and I love learning what people are doing. And I was going to ask you if you ever watched the Heal documentary.
No, I have not.
Okay. Because
I
there's a lot of where the body can heal itself and like through, like all the different ways, meditation and spiritual
well, I
praying.
do meditation on a regular basis.
Oh, you do. That's great.
Yeah, I do meditation and prayer, and I do meditation in the morning, and then I do my prayers, and then I'll do meditation in the evening before bed.
Do you align
So,
with a specific religion or do you just you're spiritual? Like,
well, I was brought up a Catholic, and so I lean towards that in my prayers. Um, but the one thing I make sure of is that I pray for others.
I love that.
So, yeah, it's not just
Give and
myself.
receive. Yeah, give and
That's
receive. It's a
that's
universal
what I've
law.
learned
Yeah.
is that,
It's
and
free. Why
so
don't we pray for everybody? We should. We should be praying for everybody because we're all connected, I think. We're all one
yeah,
anyway. Like I'm looking at you, you're me. I mean, when you're helping, so that's powerful. I love that you pray for others, and especially people who are mean or whatever, because they're suffering, right? Like someone that's not nice, you can pray for them.
one of the things that's interesting, I watched those near-death experiences. Have you ever watched any of those?
I've heard a lot of stories from people that are alive that told me, but I haven't watched those near-death experiences, but I've heard like the white light and different things.
There's a lot of similarities. And one of the things that I've learned from that is that, to pray for other people and to basically apologize for where I was, I wouldn't say I've always been a good person, but where you hurt other people and you
Yeah,
do things that, especially when you're younger.
right.
As I've gotten older, I have much more appreciation um, for I had going through this. I have
Right. Oh, deep
such an
gratitude.
appreciation
Oh
for,
yeah, for life, for every day
yeah,
is a gift, right?
yeah,
Oh, that's beautiful.
and for the tools that are available. And I think that's one of the things that's really important is that I've learned that, you know, the prayer, meditation, eating right, and being loving everyone no matter what.
Mm,
So
so
love your
good.
neighbor, doing your best to stop judging others
Yeah,
in
right.
terms of, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
because you don't know what that person is going through.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Judging. I agree. And what they say is, or what I study is like when you judge another, it's something in your own shadow self that it's like a self-judgment actually. But what I wanted to ask, so you're writing a book. Tell us the title of the book.
living past your expiration date.
Beautiful. And so you're writing the book and it's your story. And so did you abuse your body prior? Like what do they think caused all this cancer? Is it heredity? Is it your smoking? Is it your lifestyle? Is it stress, inflammation? Like is or we don't know what causes anything.
They're not sure what caused it because it's very rare for, well, they tell me that when a smoker has quit for close to 20 years to get
Lung
cancer.
cancer.
Now,
Yeah.
my father never smoked and got lung cancer and mesothelioma from asbestos.
Mm.
So he passed um, basically in my arms, but
Oh, I'm
that
sorry.
was the illness that he had. So, and I think in my younger days, growing up in the 60s and 70s, I have to admit that there was a time that I abused my body.
Same.
Um, but I stopped doing that in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into recovery,
Wow.
into 12-step program. So that left me too with a
Oh.
foundation.
Oh, so you're
So that,
recovering. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that's very much those are very spiritual people.
yeah, yeah. That was the first thing I was shocked at, how much spirituality there was involved in that recovery.
When
So
did you start that? What year?
in 85.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because I don't drink because I had my own health journey and I just don't find it, it's a toxin in my opinion and there's no value and you're trying to stay young and healthy. I mean, it doesn't really align. But anyway, um, so so when you were having the coughing, how long did it go on before you figured it out that it was what it was? Because you asked for the chest x-ray. How long was the stroke, wondering, what is
Yeah,
this? How long?
uh, about a year.
A whole year that nobody could figure it out.
Right.
And until you said you wanted an x-ray. And that's what,
I, yeah, I was still working at the time, and I went to Germany on a business trip, and people were saying to me, "You got to do something about that cough." And I said, "Oh, it's post nasal drip." And I've
they're
gone
like,
to the
no.
doctor, and a couple of colleagues were very serious. They were like, "Listen, my friend, that cough is not very good. So when you
Mm,
get back, you
yeah.
should, ask
Yeah.
for some different
Yeah.
things."
I
And
always, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, why I never, and it never dawned on me why she didn't give me a chest X-ray from the very start, because I had been a smoker. She knew my history, and it just was. We called her Dr. Kevorkian. And so at the end of when I finally got the chest X-ray, she didn't even call me with the results. I got it was in my chart, and I saw this thing, and it was the radiologist just wrote, "Not sure what this is. It's definitely not scarring from pneumonia." And so finally, that was on Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, I called and I said, what's going on? And, you know, I talked to the admin, and I got a call back about 15 minutes later, and they said, can you come into the office? And I said, when? Right now, please. And so I got my wife, put her in the car. I said, it's not going to be good news. Then when I saw the results, I told my wife, this is bad news. And so then I went in, and the doctor told me, it looks like you have lung cancer. Would you like to bring your wife in? So I brought my wife in. She she wasn't sure what it was and all of that, what type of cancer it
Right.
was.
But nobody called you. You had to like call them.
Yeah, I mean it was like it was a struggle to find out that Jesus, you got 2 to 4 months to live. And you want to talk about a bit of anger, you know, but then I just uh, we decided, we were going to fight.
I
And
love it.
so it was, there's going to be no, if the doctor says this, we do it. At the meantime, we look for, other holistic ways to
Good.
treat it.
Good.
So
Yeah. No, I met a guy who had stage 4 cancer before I knew him. And he said, he did some of the things the doctors told him and other things he did not do and listen to. And he survived and overcame it. And he definitely, watched his diet now. And he said he knows exactly how he got it. And it was because he was in a miserable, toxic marriage. That's what he believes. So when you're
stress.
yeah, unhappy. And then I was going to say earlier that like you have to be your own advocate. Like I always tell people that, and on my show I bring awareness to that because the doctors are practicing and we know our body better than they do. So I had a really good doctor back in Michigan long time ago because he listened to me. He listened to me and he gave me what I wanted. And that was a good doctor, in my opinion. Now, recently, just today, I switched doctors. I work with an energy healer, and honestly, I don't go to the doctor and I'm on 0 medications, and I'm turning 56 very soon. And
Mhm.
I don't even, my energy healer hasn't had health insurance in 20 years. And she's like, you don't need it. But see, I know I should have it. So I do have it. And I went to this new doctor because anyway, I haven't liked any doctor yet, like liked a lot here. But this one they assigned me, I saw her just to see her. And I didn't like her. I didn't like her at all. Her mannerisms, her knowledge, nothing. I knew more than her on 2 things. So, anyway, my son's like, "Are you gonna listen to that? Like, are you gonna do something about it?" And I let it go because I never go. But then I'm like, "No, I'm gonna fix this." Anyway, today I fixed it and I found you know, a guy 2 miles away, and it's like he has all these good reviews. You gotta look at reviews for doctors. People
Oh
have
yeah.
to. You have to. But I love that asked for chest x-ray and then you had to like, but I just, it's unfortunate that you had to go through all the things that you did. And then what a blessing. You guys made a decision. You're going to fight. And
Well,
that's what I love.
we got some advice from friends about, don't go to this particular hospital and cancer center. Go to this other one. And so we did that. And because they did a biopsy, and they got the wrong uh, information, the wrong type of cancer. And so when I started seeing this other oncologist, what I appreciated about him and his team is it was a whole group. And right away, I got palliative care doctor. I had a social worker. Um, and fortunately for me, I have Medicare and a supplement. And that's the other thing that I think about is the people that don't have
Oh
that
yeah.
insurance that
Yeah.
have to go cash on this. I mean, I
Yeah.
was looking, some of the chemo was $30,000 a bag. And so,
Big,
I
it's
mean,
a big business. And I had a fruitarian on my show and he's coming back and it was in December, I think, of the first year I did the podcast, 22. And he only eats fruit.
mhm.
And I have been vegetarian for 3 years, at different times. I mean, not now I'm vegan at the moment, but I think that there's a lot of stuff happening where we have to really pay attention to, God's provided all this food. We don't need to kill animals. I think that causes inflammation. I think there's a lot of diet's a huge factor, in my opinion. But then there's people with these amazing genes that can smoke and eat anything and they're like healthy as hell. Like that's the wild thing, right? I dated one like that. He was like part American Indian or something. I don't know. He was just, but anyway, yeah, I struggled with my own misdiagnosis. 3 doctors telling me I had fibromyalgia. I knew that was just an umbrella. They don't know what it is. If I listened to them and took their meds or whatever, I listened to them, who knows where I would be today.
No, I understand totally.
So, and I
Yeah.
figured it, I went to a rheumatologist. Anyway, I ended up, it was Lyme disease and I fought it for 4 years with every modality, spiritual, herbal, expensive herbs, quit alcohol for 2.5 years, antibiotic, all the things. Anyway, and then after 4 years, which I was getting better, obviously, after, and I was just identifying myself though. And I was in a self-development workshop and I started crying about something. And he's like, you identify yourself. And then a light bulb went off. I went back to my MD alternative doctor. I'm like, I want you to run blood. And it didn't show positive. And so I just stopped identifying myself, but I was dealing with like yeast and different things, a reaction. Like I couldn't eat a carrot. And now I still have digestively, I my body doesn't like anything but fruits and vegetables really. But so yeah, it's an interesting, but juicing is amazing. I mean, I feel like everything's here for us, like the fruits, the
Yeah.
vegetables, all the
Oh, it
antioxidant.
is.
It's yeah. So
Yeah,
you guys,
absolutely.
so you guys, do you keep a special diet now? Or you're
Yes and no,
plain? Yeah, yeah.
but I don't eat a lot of
Process.
meat
Oh,
anymore.
meat. Good.
We never eat any processed food.
Oh, good.
It's always we cook everything or make everything from scratch and
Oh,
always have vegetables. So there's always in fact, I eat broccoli every single night.
that's nice.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
but
healthy.
but
Yeah.
it's I feel like because when you're going through chemo and radiation, you don't you lose your appetite. And so you've got to force, that's when the juicing is important because you can get that down, but you don't feel like sitting down and eating a meal. And
Mm,
you got to keep your strength up and you start losing weight. And,
mm-hmm.
so it's,
Yeah. But yeah, back to the money thing though. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I remember my friend's husband had something and she would take food and like she would put it and make it liquid and she would take it to him.
yeah.
He had not thyroid, but something else, esophageal cancer. But yeah, cancer's big money, big business here.
Well, when
And
you're in the chemo, before I started it, I was scared. You don't know what you're going to get, and you end up meeting people because that the everybody gets their treatment. That we had a small chemo room kind of, and everybody you start to see everybody's got these horrible cancers that they like esophageal, pancreatic. And you
yeah,
start, I'm sitting there like, oh, geez, all I have is small cell lung. And, you hear their stories and everybody's upbeat, believe it or not, with the exception of a few people who are, probably close into life. And all of these people that I met in chemo had a positive attitude. And I gotta say, cancer chemo nurses are
Top
they're
notch.
angels. They're
That's
angels
that's good.
because they're dealing with people who might make it, might not make it, whatever, but they keep everything in a loving kind of, you can feel the spirit of what they do, and they always have a smile on their face. So
Mm.
when we moved, I had a plaque made.
Oh,
Uh, I had to put it in the chemo room that,
oh,
you're in the presence of angels.
oh, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
idea. I love that. Oh, that was amazing. Well, that helps so much. And the good attitude helps so much, you know? I
Yeah.
had a dental hygienist who she was telling me she had all this cancer and that I thought that the chemo and the radiation damaged other parts of her organs and stuff because it kills everything.
Well, I think I've been fortunate so far.
You're blessed. Yeah, blessed in that
Yeah.
way.
So I think that whatever,
Yeah,
what the
you're
Lord, there's something there for me. Maybe it's the book.
it's probably the book and you sharing your story because there's other people out there that are not going to be as positive and as, faithful to like, I'm going to fight because you're giving other people hope to fight and they can get past it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So when did it all begin? In June of 2020 or was it
Yeah. End of June 2020.
right during the
That,
COVID? Oh my goodness.
yeah, right. And through the COVID, it was just crazy
Yeah,
because you couldn't, well, everything was limited, and not that my
masks
wife
and
wanted to come and sit in, the doctor's office, but um and so what she would do is, like, some of the treatment would take like 4 to 6 hours, and when you first start, it's like all day. You go in the morning and you don't get out to the afternoon. And so um, she would, find things to do. And we have dogs, and she would bring the dogs, take them to the dog park and things like that. But she had to give up her life,
yeah, and
what.
well, she married you and that's like, her job to take care of you in a way. I mean, not every wife's going to do all that. So it is, she did give up. That's beautiful that you acknowledge. That is wonderful. And how sick did you, like, were you vomiting and all that?
I got lucky again with, I only had a couple of incidences where I had to take the medicine for, nausea. Um, and I one of the things, cancer pain is like no other pain. It is
Oh, and see my
it
shirt.
is
Grateful.
yeah.
Grateful.
I When I first started getting cancer pain, it was mostly in this tumor in my lung, and they gave me liquid morphine, and I hated it, me, but you had to do it. And so I went through that, and one of my colleagues, I worked for a company that was British owned, cybersecurity, and so it was, you worked remotely and on a computer, telephone, and my boss told me, don't quit, don't stop working, I'll cover you if we need be. But I've seen people get cancer and quit and then not survive it. And I've seen other people just stay working, because if you just sit
Sit
all
around
day,
and do nothing. Yeah, you would lose your
yeah,
purpose. And yeah, oh, that's
yeah,
great advice. You had some really big angels around you. You had such good advice. That is good. The guy I told you that beat the cancer stage 4, that was he worked even though the doctors told him not to. He said no,
yeah,
he's gonna still do it because he was not gonna sit around and do nothing and whatever. And he did some of the things they told him, and then he was a smart person. And I just think we have to be our own advocates for sure. And it's good that you had all these wonderful people like that told you don't go to that hospital and go over here and don't quit this and don't quit your job, and right? It was good advice.
yeah. And I asked the doctor about it one day. I said, well, in the very beginning, I said, should I still work? And he said, it's your choice, but I would recommend that you, if you can, if your job allows it and you can do it, do it. So I did. And so some days I would, and then the beauty of it is when I was getting chemo, I would come home and sleep. But my boss, anything that needed to be done, I would just email and he would take care of it. And then I would get my strength back up, come back to work. And they never, God bless him. Stephen was, he was, took care of things.
That's
So
wonderful.
the company was, you know, they didn't know that I had cancer um, at the time, and they did eventually, and they were still shocked. Like I produced what I produced.
Oh,
So
wow, that's great. Are you retired?
yeah,
Oh yeah,
that
71.
was part of the deal. I retired and we moved up here,
Nice,
and so
nice. And you're in the
yeah,
mountains in Arizona. Whereabouts again?
White Mountains,
Okay.
Sholo, Arizona.
Okay. So how far from Sedona? A few hours?
I think it's about 3 hours or 4 hours, something like that.
I'm gonna
Everything seems to be about 3 or 4 hours from where we're at. And we're gonna head out there because I've always wanted to go there.
Me too. I've
And
been wanting to go there. During COVID, I was supposed to go there, but it was COVID. And before that, it was my boyfriend and I broke up, but we had bought tickets and had everything planned to go in 2019. Yeah. Or 2018 or 2019. Yeah. Anyway, so eventually I'll get there. My son's been there twice. It changes his life every time he goes. Something
yeah,
positive
that's really
happens
cool.
afterwards. It's so good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. I love Scottsdale. I love Arizona. It's a beautiful state. Let's see, what else? So you have the one daughter, or what do you have? You guys have?
No, no, I have two daughters and a son.
Oh, nice.
And I have a daughter that lives in Chandler, Arizona. And my oldest daughter is back on the coast. That's where we came from, near Pismo Beach. I don't know if you're familiar with that area, but
No, but California,
uh,
right?
yeah, California. And then I have a son that he has he's there as well. And so I got 8 grandchildren and 14, because we got a couple on the way, 14 great grandchildren.
Wow. Oh my
So
goodness. You're
it's
blessed.
a huge family.
Mhm.
Um, and now we're up here and I'm kind of, we're missing them, but they're coming to visit, stay.
Oh
Plus, my
yeah.
daughter is active in dogs and horses. And
Mm,
so she's taking care of our horse right now because couldn't bring the horse out here in the winter.
mm,
So, because you got to get them ready if they're going to be in the winter,
hmm.
and we had a hard time finding boarding
Yeah.
facilities.
How did the kids handle this whole diagnosis and then all the things?
it was love, much love, and prayer and hope, and they're all very spiritual, um, in different ways. You know what I mean? They go to different
Yeah, yeah.
churches and
But they
stuff.
all believe in a higher power. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful.
and so everything. I mean, they just the it's like that envelope of love from family.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah,
So blessed. So what would you have done different if you went back in time? Is there anything you would have done different?
I would have never smoked.
Right, for
I would
sure.
have never smoked. I think, and I wouldn't have uh, drank like I did.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Oh, that's right. Um, let's see. What else can I ask you? So do you have any inspirational speakers or books or any authors or books that like helped you or gave you, is there anybody that you want to mention that maybe helped you, supported you, a book you read, anything like that?
No, primarily, I know this sounds, um, I think it's was primarily just myself and my spiritual,
Spiritual.
yeah, because a lot of times you're sick, so it's like, um,
But your body was sick. Your physical body
yeah,
was sick, right?
yeah, yeah, and it was, a lot of times I just slept, in between working and whatnot. I would sleep and just kind of get my strength back that way.
Yeah, that's how we heal
So
is rest. Rest is very, very important. Yeah. Well,
I
you're
did a lot of
definitely,
research
oh,
on the internet, and read, piece bits and pieces of different things, and how people overcame it, but there wasn't no one that stood out to me.
okay, okay. Yeah. So, but when you first heard that 2 to 4 months thing, you were like, I'm sure devastated and shocked and all those things, right?
Oh yeah, I have a chapter in the book called "The Day Our Life Stood Still."
Yeah. Yeah. And, they say not to be afraid of death, but like that I don't know, but it's just the physical body.
Well, there is, you for me, and I know a lot of other people as well. When you get that diagnosis at first, and you're deciding, you really are alone at night next to your partner, unable to sleep, and just thinking about how
Next.
how that's going to affect her and the rest of the
Oh,
family.
all right.
I did a lot of like just thinking, oh God, this is going to be horrible. And so it sort of like force, it. Then I would, have that conversation with God that,
Oh, that was so unselfish. So you were really just worried about your wife being without a husband and the kids being without a father.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, more
that
than
was,
anything.
and I think one of the things the family did too was at first, you know, that they just normalized life. It was like, Papa's sick, but uh, they normalized things. No one got
Too
too crazy about
emotional.
it.
Yeah, they tried
Yeah,
to like not, but yeah, they didn't want to wig out about it.
right.
Because when you make it a big deal, then it becomes a big deal. But if you just trust that you're going to be okay and what's meant to be will be, and
Yeah, that's the way I looked at it. Trust what will be, and
can't
then
control.
I established this sort of not fearing death, but fearing what was going to be left behind for my family and my wife.
Mm.
So it was like, okay, if that's what my result is, that's what it is.
What did your wife do for a living? Did she work before all this?
No, she's retired.
Stay at home mom?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was just curious if she had to leave her job to take you and do all the things.
All the kids are adults.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was, but she just, and still, because we're still dealing with it. We got a great oncologist up here. He read every single bit of my history. And so that's what he said when he first met me. You're a miracle. You know that, right? So, and I realized he had read all of the reports and looked at all of the scans and x-rays. So, um,
I love
that,
miracles. I love bringing miracles to my pod.
well, I'm definitely a miracle. And what's in front of me, I'm working on the book,
Yeah,
and
it's great.
that's my focus right now. And
Yeah, it's great. Is it a memoir or what is it?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
mine too. Yeah, I'm excited for you and the book. So, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience? Maybe.
Have a spiritual foundation, trust yourself. And if you're in a situation that's a medical, uh, definitely get another opinion.
Second opinion, yes.
Definitely get a second opinion. And
Mm-hmm.
I that's one of my recommendations is get a second opinion if you're not sure. Uh, and research.
Oh,
You
yeah.
should do your own research, but definitely find that spiritual foundation where you can garner the strength to go if you're going through terminal illness or critical illness, garner that strength, that spiritual strength.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
wonderful advice. Thank you for that. It was great having you. I was just, when you said that, was thinking about when the doctor did a physical exam on me after I finally got into the rheumatologist. And he said fibromyalgia. And I said, "You're going to tell me from a physical exam? I just brought a bag of supplements. I waited to come here. Well, I can draw blood." I said, "Please do." Draws blood, comes back Lyme disease. I'm living in Michigan at the time. He says, "Lyme disease is rare in Michigan." I believed him. He says, "We have to do an extra Western blot test." I believed him. I told my friend who's in Arizona, pharmaceutical sales rep, he goes, look into that Lyme disease, look into that. So I was like, okay. So, because so I look into it and all the puzzle pieces fell in place. I joined all these groups on Facebook and these people read every book. They've been to every doctor and they knew everything. And so they said, you need a Lyme literate medical doctor. Do not go to an infectious disease doctor. So I go back to him and they told me what antibiotic I needed. I go back to him to get the results from the Western blot. He says, "Yes, it's confirmed. You have it." And he's like, "You need an infectious disease doctor." Exactly what they told me not to have.
Not,
And so, and I said,
right.
"Can you give me the doxycycline?" And he said, "No, you need to go to the infectious disease." So I went back to my MD that I had been going to with all my stuff, and she couldn't figure it out and couldn't figure it out and couldn't figure it out. And I showed her the test results because, certain doctors run different tests. And I'm like, here. And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she gave me the doxycycline, and that was the journey. But when I tried calling Lyme literate medical doctors, the first one I called, it was November, couldn't get in till April. The next one I called, this is in 2012. The next one I called, no, it was 2011 or 2012. I called $1,000 for the first visit. This is back 20, whatever years, 12 years ago. So it was devastating when I heard all this. And I was in so much pain. If I drank alcohol the next morning, I couldn't walk. I was destroyed for the whole day. My hip, my neck, my knee. I was like a 90-year-old person. So I was a mess for a while but it was the spiritual awakening. That was the underlying blessing when I look back. I look back at everything. I realize that's when I learned to take care of myself. That's when I learned, started the journey. So anyway, but it was beautiful having you and sharing your amazing story. I love having miracles on. Please keep taking good care of yourself, and we'll look for the book. And tell us the title again. It's going to be.
Living past your expiration date.
That's an excellent name. Yeah. Living past your expiration date. That's awesome. Okay. Well, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll let you know when it goes live.